Hello dear students, welcome to this lecture. Today we shall talk about inclusive development. In this regard, some of the key objectives of this lecture are to define the meaning of inclusive development, to examine its key principles, to explain process of inclusive development, and to discuss and deliberate factors that impact inclusive development. So, dear students, we will start with defining the concept of inclusive development. Inclusive development refers to a concept that emphasizes the importance of ensuring that all individuals, regardless of their background or circumstances, has equal access to opportunities and benefits arising from development initiatives. It's a fundamental principle that aims to address the inequalities and disparities that exist within societies, promoting social justice and sustainable growth. The notion of inclusive development recognizes that economic progress alone is insufficient to achieve true prosperity. It acknowledges the need to consider the diverse needs and aspirations of different groups, including marginalized communities, women, persons with disabilities, and other vulnerable populations. By actively involving these groups in decision-making processes and providing them with equal access to resources, services, and opportunities. Inclusive development seeks to create a more equitable and just society. According to various scholars and experts, inclusive development is about countering exclusiveness. This implies countering growth that leads to a concentration of wealth or concentration of salary increases in certain sectors. Increasing levels of public participation and reducing disparities in knowledge, capacity, and income with a focus on specific communities marginalized and excluded from access to social amenities and opportunities. Inclusive development encompasses various dimensions such as education, healthcare, employment, infrastructure, and social protection. It requires the implementation of policies and strategies that foster inclusivity at all levels, from local to national and international. This entails removing barriers that hinder participation and ensuring that no one is left behind in the pursuit of progress. To achieve inclusive development, collaboration and cooperation among governments, civil society organizations, private sector entities, and international institutions are crucial. By working together, stakeholders can pool their resources, expertise, and knowledge to design and implement inclusive policies and programs that address the specific needs of different communities. Monitoring and evaluation mechanisms play a vital role in ensuring the effectiveness and impact of inclusive development initiatives. Regular assessments and data collection enable policymakers and practitioners to identify gaps, measure progress, and make informed decisions to enhance inclusivity further. The concept of inclusive development can be traced back to the ancient civilizations that flourished across the globe. For instance, in the Indian civilization, where the Sanskrit phrase Vasudeva Kutumbakam, meaning the entire world is one unified family. Similarly, in other ancient civilizations such as Africa and China, we find examples of ideologies that prioritize togetherness and inclusivity. In contemporary India, the revered Mahatma Gandhi, the father of the nation, proclaimed no culture can thrive if it seeks exclusivity. This statement underscores the significance of embracing diversity and fostering an inclusive society. The notion of inclusive development transcends time and borders, permeating various cultures and civilizations throughout history. It serves as a reminder that progress and prosperity can only be achieved when all individuals, regardless of their backgrounds, are given equal opportunities and are actively included in the process. In today's global landscape, the concept of inclusive development has gained momentum, becoming a fundamental pillar of policy making and political discourse. It recognizes that sustainable growth and societal well being can only be attained by ensuring that no one is left behind. It's now universally recognized that real and sustained social and economic progress cannot truly occur if a large segment of society is marginalized. This is the reason why inclusive development as a strategy for all around development seems to have wide appeal among all stakeholders: government, non governmental organizations, intellectuals, and civil society organizations. Almost all major transnational organizations, including the United Nations, the World Bank, and the Asian Development Bank, have set inclusive development as a thrust area. The four inclusive development approaches of the UNDP to achieve the Millennium Development Goals include creating productive and gainful employment, building effective and efficient social safety nets to protect those who cannot work or earn too little, enhancing public services by building schools and hospitals, training teachers and doctors, and providing access to water, sanitation, and transportation, all of which requires public spending. Executing well-designed fiscal policies. Similarly, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development constitutes the heart of inclusive development. In India, the current government has placed significant emphasis on inclusive development through its government policy, commonly referred as Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. Under this policy, the government strives to create an environment where no one is left behind and all citizens have equal opportunities to grow and prosper. It recognizes the importance of addressing the needs and aspirations of every section of society, regardless of their background or socio-economic status. Now, we will try to understand the process of inclusive development. Inclusive development is a multifaceted process encompassing various dimensions. The fundamental pillars of inclusive development are social inclusion, economic inclusion, and political inclusion. These core processes are crucial in fostering a comprehensive and equitable approach to development. Let me now try and explain these pillars in detail. First, social inclusion. Social inclusion is an overarching framework for addressing various social policy issues, including income inequality, skill levels, education, health inequalities, housing affordability, and work-life balance. Social inclusion is now a part of the framework of the laws of the European Union, Asia, Africa, and several countries in other parts of the world. The United Kingdom's National Action Plan on Social Inclusion states, I quote, "Poverty and social exclusion are complex and multidimensional problems, while household income clearly has an important impact on well-being. There are many factors that help or hinder efforts to transform the lives of those suffering from poverty. Housing, health, education, and employment status may all have a role to play, and people are influenced by what sort of neighborhood they live in and whether they feel safe from crime or antisocial behavior, unquote. Social inclusion promotes more active participation of people living in communities. The Canadian Council on Social Development, drawing on the work of SANE, sees an inclusive society as characterized by a widely shared social experience and active participation, by a broad equality of opportunities and life chances for individuals, and by the achievement of a basic level of well-being for all citizens. It is one of the most important aspects of inclusive development. The term social inclusion has been adopted by governments as a moral and indeed legal imperative to foster development. Yet, it is one of the most complex notions, characterized by a lack of shared understanding about what it means to be socially included and about the necessary conditions to achieve social inclusion. A key barrier to understanding arises from the fragmentation of policy in relation to different arenas of inclusion and exclusion. So, for example, race, ethnicity, gender, disability are all addressed in different ways by different government departments with different solutions and with varying degree of ineffectiveness. Joined up working has been a much used cliche that has not been accompanied by connected thinking about the different groups who are at risk of exclusion. Dear students, now we will try to understand the concept of economic inclusion. On the other hand, economic inclusion focuses on creating an enabling environment that allows individuals and communities to engage in economic activities actively. This involves providing access to decent work, promoting entrepreneurship, and fostering fair and inclusive economic growth. By empowering individuals economically, inclusive development aims to reduce poverty, inequality, and social exclusion. There has recently been a rapid growth of international literature and research on the links between economic growth and social capability and their impact on well-being. The relationship between a productive economy and a society that enjoys high levels of participation, connection, and cohesion, and their combined impact on people's well-being is well appreciated by scholars in recent times. It is their view that an inclusive economy improves the well-being of people by directing policy to ensure that there are broad-based opportunities to participate in society and the economy. India's 11th five-year plan has also emphasized the importance of inclusive growth. Now, dear students, we will try to understand the concept of political inclusion. Political inclusion is a vital aspect of inclusive development as it emphasizes the participation and representation of all citizens in decision-making processes. It seeks to ensure that marginalized groups have a voice in shaping policies and institutions that affect their lives. By promoting political inclusivity, inclusive development aims to strengthen democratic governance, enhance accountability, and foster social justice. Inclusiveness in the political sphere is vital for social development. A democratic and participatory political organization empowers people to raise their voices against injustice and deprivation. Since independence, the Indian Constitution guarantees the participation of all sections in the political process. Indeed, two relatively new types of participatory practices allowing interaction between people and the government without the recourse to political parties have been used particularly by urban middle classes. Legal provisions that encourage the interpellation of the government by civil society organizations or even by individuals, such as the Public Interest Litigation and the Right to Information Act, and schemes aiming at promoting local participation through neighborhood associations. Seats were reserved in parliament and in state assemblies in proportion to the demographic weight of scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. Over the years, quotas were extended to other backward classes, but only in the fields of public employment and higher education. Lately, electoral quotas at the local level have been introduced for a fourth category, that is women. The ambitious but disparately implemented decentralization policy passed in 1992 is an important element of these two dimensions of democratic renewal. On the one hand, it provides for substantial quotas in local assemblies for women, that is 33%, scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, and in some states for other backward classes in proportion to the local demographic weight of each category. Dear students, we will now try to understand the significance of inclusive development. By embracing inclusivity, societies can harness the collective potential of their diverse populations, fostering innovation, creativity, resilience. Inclusive development promotes social cohesion and enhances economic productivity, as it allows for the full utilization of human capital. Moreover, inclusive development is not limited to a single nation or region. It's a universal aspiration that transcends boundaries. It calls for collaboration and cooperation among nations as the challenges we face today, such as poverty, inequality, and climate change, require collective action and shared responsibility. On the other hand, the exclusion of individuals and groups can become a major threat to social cohesion and dangerously affect humanity. Today, the world is witnessing severe ethnic problems, insurgencies, caste violence, social unrest, unemployment, poverty, malnutrition, etc., which severely affect the peaceful existence of human beings. These exclusions are not simple, they are complex phenomena. Through inclusive development, most of the challenges and issues can be addressed through peaceful and democratic means without resorting to any violence by state or non-state actors. Now we will try to understand the challenges to achieve inclusive development. Inclusive development is a crucial aspect of sustainable growth, aiming to ensure that all individuals, regardless of their background or circumstances, have equal access to opportunities and benefits. However, achieving inclusive development is often impeded by various factors. Some of the major factors that challenge and impede its achievements are socio-economic disparities. One of the primary obstacles to inclusive development is the existence of socio-economic disparities. These disparities, such as income inequality, limited access to education, inadequate healthcare services, create barriers that prevent marginalized individuals and communities from fully participating in and benefiting from development initiatives. Addressing these disparities is crucial for fostering inclusive development. Now, discrimination and exclusion. Discrimination based on factors such as gender, race, ethnicity, or disability significantly hampers inclusive development. When certain groups face prejudice and exclusion, their opportunities for education, employment, and social participation are limited. Overcoming discriminatory practices and promoting equal rights and opportunities for all individuals are essential step towards inclusive development. Another factor is lack of infrastructure. Insufficient infrastructure, particularly in rural and remote areas, poses a significant challenge to inclusive development. Inadequate transportation, networks, limited access to clean water and sanitation facilities, and unreliable energy sources hinder economic growth and impede the inclusion of marginalized communities. Investing in infrastructure development is crucial for ensuring equal access to essential services and fostering inclusive development. Another factor is weak governance and corruption. Weak governance and corruption undermine inclusive development efforts by diverting resources away from those who need them the most. When public funds are mismanaged or misappropriated, the provision of essential services such as healthcare and education is compromised. Strengthening governance structures, promoting transparency, and combating corruption are vital for fostering inclusive development. Another factor is lack of awareness and participation. A lack of awareness and participation among marginalized communities can hinder inclusive development. When individuals or communities are denied access to participation and involvement in the development works. Dear students, we have arrived at the conclusion of the topic. Inclusive development is a multifaceted approach that seeks to create a society where everyone has equal opportunities and benefits from development. In other words, it's a comprehensive and multidimensional process that encompasses social, economic, and political dimensions. By prioritizing social inclusion, economic inclusion, and political inclusion, we can create a more equitable and sustainable society where every individual has the opportunity to thrive and contribute to overall development of their communities. It goes beyond just economic growth and looks at the bigger picture of social progress and well-being. Inclusive development considers factors such as access to education, healthcare, housing, and employment, ensuring that no one is left behind in the pursuit of a better future. By embracing inclusivity, societies can unlock a host of benefits. Firstly, it fosters social cohesion and reduces inequalities, creating a more harmonious and fairer society. Additionally, it enhances economic productivity by tapping into the skills and talents of all individuals, not just a privileged few. Inclusive development also makes communities more resilient by involving diverse perspectives and promoting innovative solutions to challenges. In India, the current government has placed significant emphasis on inclusive development, commonly known as Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. This approach aims to ensure that every individual in the country is included in the process of development and benefits from it. Under this policy, the government strives to create an environment where no one is left behind and all citizens have equal opportunities to grow and prosper. It recognizes the importance of addressing the needs and aspirations of every section of society, regardless of their background or socioeconomic status. Achieving inclusive development is not without its challenges. One of the major obstacles is the lack of adequate resources and social infrastructure in many developing countries. Limited access to quality education, healthcare, basic services often hinders the progress of marginalized communities and impairs existing inequalities. Additionally, Social norms and cultural practices can perpetuate discrimination, exclusion, and unequal power dynamics, making it difficult to achieve inclusivity. To address these challenges, policymakers and development practitioners must adopt a multidimensional and multisectoral approach. This includes prioritizing investments in underserved areas, social infrastructure such as schools, health clinics, and transportation systems. Additionally, efforts should be made to change discriminatory social norms and encourage inclusivity through awareness, raising, capacity building, and the implementation of inclusive policies and legislation. The pursuit of inclusive development is crucial for reducing inequalities, promoting social cohesion, and fostering sustainable economic growth. So, dear students, I will stop here with the hope that this lecture was useful and enlightening for you all. See you next time with a new topic. Till then, goodbye.